Hey guys, it's the VR Chairman here, and today we are gonna listen to this podcast episode from Am I the Jerk? And then I'll do the quote at the end because I forgot. And this is something new, but we're gonna listen to this, and then I'm gonna say my opinion on if he's the jerk or not, and then we'll listen to what they have to say, if they're the jerk or not, like the person who makes the podcast. And let me know in the comments if you want more of this video or if you want me to stay with just gaming. Anyways, let's get into it. I pulled up this video on Spotify too with it.
My boyfriend demanded that I pay for the $600 check for his birthday party, even though he literally didn't tell me about this in advance and was just expecting me to pay for it right there on the spot.
Okay, so already to start off with, it sounds like you didn't host this birthday party, and it sounds like you're not paying to host this birthday party. So just off that, I think that he should pay it or just leave it, and then the next time you go to that place, add more to it than pay that. But let's listen to the full story and see
No,
what
I
else
decided the
is.
very next day to break up with him as I felt completely used and humiliated in the worst way possible, resulting in some of my friends calling me selfish and saying that I'm the jerk. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. This story also came from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Let's get started. Okay, so
I
my
won't have the
boyfriend
links in
planned a
the
birthday
description.
dinner for himself at this kind of pricey restaurant. He invited a big group of like 12 people, mostly his friends and his cousins. Now, I didn't have a
Okay, so already, if he hosted it himself, then you should not pay, even if you are the uh, I don't know the genders. Um, I think I don't know, but I don't know the gender. Wait, hold on, let me go back.
from the Am I the Jerk
I think it
subreddit.
said
Check the links
boyfriend.
in the
I'm not
description
sure.
if you would like to submit your own story. Let's get started. Okay, so my boyfriend planned a
Yeah, so um, if your boyfriend planned it himself and everything yourself, if you didn't plan it, then yeah, he should definitely pay. He shouldn't expect you to pay it. Especially since, well, especially if, let me say this again. Let me rephrase that. Even though you're the girlfriend, I'm guessing since you're saying boyfriend, he shouldn't expect you to pay for something he planned. Because that's like saying that, oh, I went on a boys' trip and my girlfriend should pay for it. Or
birthday
pay for
dinner
my
for
tab.
himself at this kind
That
of pricey
shouldn't, you
restaurant.
shouldn't
He
do that.
invited a big group of like 12 people,
And
mostly
12
his
people
friends
too,
and his
like,
cousins. Now, I didn't have a say in the guest list or the place, but I was happy to be there for him. Now, I've always had a bit more money than him, and I honestly don't mind covering small things here and there. I paid for his birthday cake, and I even got him a gift that I knew he would love. Now, I was fully planning on paying for his meal, and that felt really fair to me. But when the check came for over $600, which is way too high even for me, he just looked at me and said, "You've got it right." And he said this in front of everyone. No.
if he said it the same way they said it in the video, then I can see why she did end up dumping him the next day. Because why say it like that? Now I kind of understand if he's like tight on money and maybe he didn't know the restaurant was pricey and he said, You got it right. I don't have much money at the time." But saying "you got it right" with like maybe a slight smirk, she definitely doesn't have it if you're gonna say it like that.
Warning, no heads up. He didn't even ask me. Like, he almost said this as if he was expecting it. And I was so completely caught off guard. I quietly told him I wasn't comfortable paying for everyone. And he got super cold and a bit mad at me. He said I was making a scene, even though I barely said anything. And you know what? Some people at the table looked just as confused as I felt. Well, I paid for his dinner, I left money for the cake, and then I went home. And I even cried in the Uber because I felt so used. He then texted me saying that I embarrassed him, and I told him it wasn't okay.
No. If anything, you embarrassed her.
to put me in that position without even asking first. And you know what? The following day, I broke up with him. And now some of his friends are messaging me, calling me selfish.
You're selfish for breaking up with him because you thought you were being used, and then you even had a little bit of proof from last night. That's not selfish. That's just trying to keep you from going financially broke or whatever it's called.
Right now, I feel awful, but I also feel like I was treated like a walking wallet. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, your boyfriend is super toxic. So let me get this straight. This guy plans his own birthday party. He goes to this really fancy and expensive restaurant. He leaves you out of all of the planning, and then he tries to be like, oh yeah, you're gonna pay for everything, right? Like, I don't know about you, but $600 is way too much for anything like that. Like, I'd bring a little bit extra in case it does cost more, but I don't know anyone who's got like $600 just laying around in their wallet where they're like, oh yeah, I could pay for it. Don't worry about it. Like, holy crap, your boyfriend is awful. He seriously sprung this on you in front of everyone. Like, dude, what is happening
I
right
think there's
now? The
multiple
original poster
stories to
actually
this one,
says
but
in the
this is
comment
not.
section of this post that this day was when they
There is multiple stories to this. I think because this is the person who made the podcast telling his thoughts, and judging by the time length, it's going to be multiple stories. But as long as it's only 20 minutes and not the 3 hour one I see on YouTube, then that's fine. We can do all the stories.
finally realized that their boyfriend was using them, and it kind of made them reflect on how much that was happening in their relationship. So truly, I think this was a good thing. I think breaking up with him was like the best option for you, because what this guy expected of you was crazy, and you do not deserve that in the slightest. If you like Am I the
Uh-uh.
Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. We waited, knowing that she would come back to me begging to get any of that money back. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My
Again, I
ex
don't have
broke up with
anything
me
they
and took
say
my
in the
dog with me,
description.
so I got revenge by
Uh,
clearing. You're
I'm gonna
probably
go
going
back.
to love Am I the Genius? Check it out, link down
I had to
below
go
in the
back, so I
description.
couldn't hear it
Also,
over my
go to
talking.
amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My ex broke up with me and took my dog with me, so I got revenge by clearing out our joint bank account and simply waited, knowing that she would come back to me begging to get any of that money back, resulting in her exchanging the money for my dog. Here's how I did it. So my ex and I have been having a really hard time lately. She decided she wanted to go back to her ex and has been a jerk ever since then. We broke up and now she wants everything including the dog, which is, by the way, the very dog that she never even wanted in the first place. And sure, she
So, if you didn't even want it in the first place, why take it? The only reason I could think of to take it is because you want to spite the now ex. But if you had a joint bank account, that would have been a little risky because you know that the ex could just take the money out, all of it out, like they did here. So, if it were me, I probably would not have done that, but I would have maybe done something a little less toxic, like taking a pillow or something, or maybe like their favorite pillow, something that wouldn't have them going and emptying out the bank account. But I mean, even that, I wouldn't really do that unless it was like really, really messy. And I don't even know if it said they were divorced, or if they just broke up.
you would
Let's
like to submit
rewind
your
to
own
get it a second.
stories. My ex broke up with me and took
Broke up.
my dog
Okay.
with me, so
Yeah. So if they just broke up and there was a really messy breakup, like screaming, crying, breaking stuff, I think that happens. I don't know. I might take one of their pillows, or like their favorite pillow, or maybe their favorite vase. Something like that, but like their dog is like part of the family, so why would you take it? Because, yeah, taking all the money out of the joint account is equal to somebody taking your dog.
I got revenge by clearing out
if you
our
ask
joint
me.
bank account and simply waited, knowing that she would come back to me begging to get any of that money back, resulting in her exchanging the money for my dog. Here's how I did it. So my ex and I have been having a really hard time lately. She decided she wanted to go back to her ex and has been a jerk ever since then. We broke up and now she wants everything including the dog, which is, by the way, the very dog that she never even wanted in the first place. And sure, she loves the dog too, but she never walked him, she hated cleaning up his little surprises here and there, and literally just never put the legwork in. I wanted the dog, plus I trained him and paid for professional training. So I took responsibility for him and we've been buddies ever since then.
I saw a Law by Mike video saying that if you took care of him, if you paid for him, if it was in your, if the like adoption papers was in your name, then the court, well, I guess that would have been for if they got divorced. But they probably should have took the dog to court or like wrote up a contract for joint custody or something like that, even if they were just broken up.
Well, the problem is that she wants to move out and wants half of everything. We weren't even married, so it's like, what are you talking about? Anyways, the house is a rental, but I always paid for it, and I was living here before we even started dating. So no, not today, girl. She also wanted to move in with her ex because he lives with his parents, but also not today. So what did she do, you might be asking? She managed to get inside without being seen by the cameras, since she knows the dead angles, and got into the backyard and called for the dogs. But it's like, how dumb do you have to be to hide from the cameras, but then scream his name? Like, the cameras also record sound, idiot. So I just went to the police station and they said they couldn't do anything because we are not married and there's no evidence that we actually broke up or that she entered the house illegally. So I went to her parents.
If you took the key from her, if she didn't have a key and she still got in the house, then yeah, that would have been breaking and entering. But if she still had a key, then there is really nothing the police could have done about that. That's why you should have taken her key. And if you did, then you really should have told that to the popo or the police.
House looking for the dog, since she didn't reply to my messages, and my buddy actually heard me and immediately started barking and trying to come in my direction. But her mom didn't want to open the door completely, so he couldn't get to me and even closed the door mid-conversation, so I couldn't get the dog. But you know what? No worries. We had a joint bank account with some savings that we both invested in, even though I invested 80% or more, and we had agreed to split it 50-50. So no dog, no money. I then transferred all that money into a crypto wallet and I waited 2 days. Well, all of a sudden, she remembered my number and asked what happened to the money. But I told her I invested it in crypto, but I could cash it out, and then I gave her a choice. She could choose between getting the money back or keeping the dog. And you know what? Suddenly, she agreed to give me back my dog. And so she did. So thankfully, that's taken care of. And I also made sure that there are no more dead angles at my home, because you better believe I don't want her showing up anytime soon. Wow, your ex is a piece of...
I mean, yeah, what they are saying here is true. But what they didn't say is if they actually did give the money back, which I bet they did. I bet they did give some of the money back. But like having to bribe their ex with money for the dog, like, and again, you should have like wrote up a contract that if you ever split, that um the dog would have like joint custody or something like that, even if you aren't married, till the dog dies. If you both really want to see the dog, if you both really were devoted parents to it. I may not know what I'm saying, but and now if one of them does not want the dog anymore, then they could like maybe have a clause in the contract that the other party could keep the dog indefinitely until the dog passes. But I don't know a bunch of legal stuff, so I don't know if that would work.
garbage. Like seriously, she probably only took the dog out of spite just to try and like get back at you in some way. And that is so messed up. You really did not deserve that. So good for you for like negotiating
And
things down and making sure she really wanted to make that choice. Because you can obviously see her true colors the second money was on the table. Because obviously that's all she ever really wanted. Am I the jerk for not carpooling with my coworker anymore after she was disrespectful and extremely late every single time? Because now she's talking bad about me to all of our teammates at work, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what's going on. About 7 months ago, I started working at a company where I met a teammate who lives on the same road I take to work. For reference, it takes about 45 minutes without traffic for me to get there. Well, we started carpooling, where I would be at her house at nearly 7 o'clock in the morning. However, she would usually still be asleep by the time I get to her house. So, because I did not like being late for work, I started calling her 15 minutes earlier just so she would get ready. However, even then, she would still be late. Mind you, she paid me an agreed amount the beginning of each month. Now, that did not bother me until she started going to work on some days with this other coworker with whom she apparently liked for fun, although he clearly had feelings for her. She would not always tell me when she'll be coming with me, and I had to call her every morning, which I did not like doing. Moreover, she would not be ready on my days, but then I catch her ready to go early in the morning whenever she has to go with him, which I really did not like. And you know what? It just started bothering me. To add more spice to the story, the dude had an accident and wanted to fix his car, so she would need a ride. Well, she did not tell me that. Instead, she masked it with this little hint of saying, "Oh, I missed you. I think I will be coming with you from now on," which really upset me the most. But now, after that happened, I decided to stop the carpool thing, and I told her that I don't want that to ruin our friendship. She said to me, "What you did is really crappy, and I don't want to be friends with you anymore." To which I just replied by saying, "Yeah, okay, whatever you want." And now, I don't know how the whole situation would be from her point of view, but I can't see in what way she would make me out to be a bad friend, because that's what she told our teammates at work. So please, can somebody give me some insight here? So please, can somebody give me some insight here? Am I the jerk, or is she at fault? Because right now I don't know what to do.
okay, I don't say I wouldn't say you're the jerk because she's making you late and you have to call her every single morning to see if you're picking her up. And then she has the nerve to come over here on one of your days and say, "Oh, I guess you'll be picking me up now since the other guy had to fix his car." So, yeah, ending the carpool was the right choice to do. And then her going and telling the coworkers that you're a bad friend for stopping the carpool all because she makes you late and stuff. That's a classic jerk, I guess. I don't know. I haven't met any jerks except for one. But she but she's probably in the wrong and I'm pretty sure you're in the right.
Dude, you are definitely not the jerk. She literally didn't care about you carpooling with her at all. You had to call her every single morning, but then when that boy's picking her up, she's conveniently on time and like ready to go. It's like, what are you talking about? This is so stupid. She's unreliable, and it sounds like she's one of those drama queens where nothing's ever her fault, and if you ever supposedly betray her, she's gonna talk bad about you at the drop of a hat. So I can honestly say, if I had a friend like that, I would drop them to the curb and be like, "Oh, you don't want to be friends anymore? Well, fantastic. I didn't want to put up with this crap anyways. See ya." Because in my opinion, you deserve way better than this, and I think your friend is a spoiled, rotten brat. Am I the jerk for buying a mini fridge?
You think her parents were rich? Or definitely upper middle class? Because if she was poor, she would not be acting this way at all. And I mean, I'm not saying that all kids up there are spoiled, but I'm just saying that some are. And in this case, she might have. But then again, some people do turn out like that too. Also, I want y'all to go on YouTube and search up Am I the Jerk and go to their channel and look at the thumbnails. You don't have to watch the videos, but look at the thumbnails and tell me what you see in the comments. Because some of those thumbnails look weird And some of those thumbnails make the people look ugly. And I'm not saying some of those people look good, but I'm also not saying that some of those people look bad. Kind of average, but then the angle makes them look ugly.
And locking it up so that I
I
can
don't know what
protect
I'm
my lunch
saying.
from getting stolen at work. Because after I don't want to be
Say
friends
that again?
anymore, well, fantastic. I didn't want to put up with this crap anyways. See ya. Because in my opinion, you deserve way better than this, and I think your friend is a spoiled, rotten brat. Am I the jerk for buying a mini fridge and locking it up so that I can protect my lunch from getting stolen at work?
Just from hearing that, I say no. Especially if you have your name on the lunch and people still eat it anyways. Even if it's just one person eating it, I still say you're not the jerk. And like I said, especially if you put your name on the container that it is in.
Because after 5 times of having my lunch stolen, I'm literally at my breaking point and I seriously don't know what to do.
You could have got the police involved. It probably wouldn't have gone anywhere, but you could have got the police involved. Because technically, if it was your stuff and you did have your name on it, and somebody then still ate it, then that's technically stealing, and you could technically get the police. But like I said, it probably wouldn't go anywhere. But it could scare the person eating your food into stopping because, well, they know that you will definitely call the cops on them.
Here's what's going on. I'm a 34-year-old male and I work in a small office with about 10 people, and we share a communal kitchen including one fridge. Over the past month, my lunch has been stolen 5 times. Not just random snacks, like the entire homemade meals that I bring from home are just completely gone without a trace. It's not just frustrating, it's expensive and messes up my day. I mentioned it a couple of times in the group chat by saying, hey, someone's been taking my lunches, please stop. And everyone either ignored it or sent vague messages, saying stuff like, oh, that sucks. Some people are the worst. But no one took any responsibility. So I decided to buy a mini fridge and I put it under my desk. Nothing fancy, just enough to hold my meal and a drink. On top of that, I also put a lock on it just for extra peace of mind. And since then, no one has ever stole my lunches. Well, last Friday, one of my coworkers, who we will call Diana for the sake of the story, confronted me during lunch and said it was weird and selfish that I had a personal fridge. She said,
So it sounds like she is the one eating your lunch, my dude. So I say, after that conversation, never talk to her again. Because, I mean, she's saying it makes you look paranoid and that it's selfish. And that means she definitely ate it. There's a 90% chance he did eat it.
that it made me look
Let's see.
paranoid and not part of the team. But I said I was tired of my food being stolen, and this was the only solution that worked. She said I should have just bought stuff I wouldn't care about losing, like snacks or microwave meals, if I
But those are disgusting. Or the microwave meals. Those could be disgusting to him. I don't think I've tried much of those. Like TV dinners, I think that's what they mean. Um, and then snacks just don't fill you up. And I bet they would still steal the snacks anyways.
was so worried. A couple of others have now made little comments by saying, don't let him see your lunch, he might lock it up. Or just say, we get it, you're special. And I'm starting to feel like the weirdo of the office just for protecting my stuff. So seriously, am I the jerk here or is there something else going on? Because I seriously do not know what to do. Oh my gosh, I think you found exactly who's like stealing your lunch. This Diana lady's
And, like, I get it was a communal kitchen. So, and if you did not write your name, they may have thought, this might just be for the community kitchen or something. That's why you always gotta write your name on your stuff. If there's a kitchen at your work that you're putting in there.
clearly the person who did it. Like seriously, for starters, how can no one be like, wait a second, this is the 5th time you've lost your lunch? Who's doing it? Like we need to figure out who's doing that and make it stop. There's only 10 people on the crew, by the way, so it's like, come on, someone's got to figure out exactly what's happening. That or it's some kind of like organized effort to mess with your only lunch break.
Ask your boss to ask his boss, and then anybody higher than that boss to check the cameras in the kitchen. And if there isn't any cameras, then tell your boss to tell his boss and anybody higher up to add a like little what's it called? What did I just say? Camera. That's what it's called. Um, in there so you can find exactly who is eating your food, and then maybe if somebody breaks in, the camera can be used for like security.
Break? Like, seriously, what's going on right now? So for Diana to walk up and be like, oh, you look so paranoid. You need to bring stuff you're not afraid of losing. What she's really saying is, please bring stuff that I can continue to steal because right now I don't have a lunch. Because in my opinion, Diana sounds really hungry. And I really think it's obvious that she's the one who's actually not part of the team.
Okay, quick side note. If you can tell me what game this is and how the health system works in the comments, please do. I'm so confused because I thought each one of these represent a heart, but now that's gone down past the little bar and there's still 3 hearts.
And is just pissed off that she doesn't get a free lunch anymore. An entitled jerk blocks my parking space and decides to get violent the second I tell him to move. So as a result, I decided to get some revenge by taking his information off the internet and applying for jobs on his behalf that he most definitely was not looking to work at.
Okay, so to start, were you paying for the spot? Was it maybe reserved for you? If it was either one of those, he was definitely in the wrong. But if it was a public parking spot that you just use a lot, then you're both, well, no, you're in the wrong a little bit. But I bet, for the sake of this, I bet it's like a paid spot or a reserved spot just for this guy. So I say, if it is, which it probably definitely is, you are not in the wrong. But that might be a bit extreme, applying to jobs he was not looking to work at. I probably would have maybe rigged a glitter bomb to go into the park, to go onto his car when he parked there, especially if it had like a reserved sign.
Here's what I did. A few years ago, my mother-in-law flew in from across the country to visit my fiance and I for a week. We live in an apartment in a busy part of downtown Vancouver, and our garage opens into an alley right next to the entrance of a liquor store. And as a result, we are often blocked in by people when trying to get home or even just to leave. We've gotten into a few screaming matches with people before, but this one was my favorite and probably the worst as well. We were coming back pretty late in the evening, maybe at around 9 o'clock p.m., and this guy, who we will call Christopher, had parked right in front of our garage door and went into the liquor store to buy some booze. When he
I honestly did not even think about that. I didn't think about it being like his little garage, like in front of the garage. So for the sake, we'll say that's like reserved. So yeah, and if he continues to doing it, you just put a glitter bomb and it glitters his car. You say that's revenge for parking in my spot so many times because this is my driveway.
came back out and saw us in our vehicle waiting for him to move so that we could park and be home, he made some snotty comment. And it's the kind of comment that you couldn't hear while still in our vehicle. And then he got into his car. Now we thought he would drive away, but he just sat there, opened up a can of beer and drank it while looking at us and laughing. So I get out of the vehicle, I walked over to him, and I politely, and honestly I said this politely, asked him to move so that we can get inside. Well, he basically responded by telling me to go F myself and that he would do what he wanted. I tried to explain that he was blocking our garage, and I asked him if he could just move up a bit so that we could get in. Well, this escalated really quickly. He got out of the car and got really into my face. Now me, still not wanting to play out this situation in front of my future mother-in-law, stayed calm and just kept asking him to please get back into his car and leave. Eventually he started pushing me, clearly trying to start a fight, so I just called the police. While I was on the phone with them, he had put himself and his face centimeters away from mine. I stepped back and I put my arm out, while still on the phone, mind you, and he walked right into it. He then started screaming about how I was hitting him and how he needed police
No,
help
you
right
were
now.
not.
Because we were right downtown, the police arrived within a minute from when I had made the call, still on the phone with the operator the entire time. Well, as soon as they arrived, he changed his tone and attitude completely. He started telling them a sob story about how I had approached him in his vehicle and said some mean things to him. But luckily, my fiance and future mother...
Okay, I don't know which to believe, but it sounds like this guy is telling the truth. Because I wasn't there, and the guy reading this wasn't there either. So we don't exactly know if he's telling the truth. But if the mother-in-law and the other one were in the car and tell the same story, then we can know for sure that he is, in fact, telling the truth. Gosh dang, my controllers keep disconnecting for some reason. They have batteries, you can see. But anyways.
Law were still in the car and completely backed up my story. He was also parked illegally in front of my parking garage, so the police quickly took my side and demanded that he leave. Now, as he got back into his car, the police noticed his open beer in the console and immediately got him back out of the car and demanded that he perform a breathalyzer test.
I thought I heard something.
Now,
Sound like
unfortunately, he
Marco.
had finished the can before getting out, so he claimed that he had found the can on the road and was planning to bring it in for the 5-cent deposit. His alcohol level was below the legal limit for driving, so the police couldn't do anything to charge him with a DUI. The police stayed until he left, but the last thing he did before driving away was throw his business card out the window at me and then say to me, "Oh, you don't know who you're messing with." Well, I picked it up as he was driving away, already starting to plan my revenge, although with no idea of what I could do with his information. The next day, I looked Christopher up, and it turns out that he was a freelance graphic designer. He has his own website with a bunch of his completed projects and his full PDF downloadable resume. So I downloaded his resume and I got to work. At this point, I then started applying for jobs on Christopher's behalf. I had his real phone number, real address, and a real full resume. And you know what? He applied to every McDonald's in the area, every Starbucks, every grocery store, every movie theater, literally any minimum wage job that I could find with a quick and easy application process. I must have applied for like over 80 jobs for him, all using his real phone number and real resume. I kept this up for weeks, searching for more jobs whenever I had some free time. Now, unfortunately, I never got to see his face as he started getting callbacks, as he was truly more than qualified for any of these jobs. But I would like to think that for a month or two, he would receive phone calls through the week asking to set up job interviews, thinking that it was for a graphic design work, only to then be told that it was for McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever. But I will say, a few months later, I went back to his website thinking that I'd start the process again, you know, since he pulled that crap in front of my fiance and future mother-in-law, so I was still a bit salty about it. But I was both shocked and satisfied to see that his website had been taken down, or at least moved to a new URL. And I'd like to believe that somehow this is my doing. Okay, this is some solid revenge.
Yeah. Yeah. But 80 though? Now, yeah, you could not do my glitter bomb trap because he only did it once. But that was some revenge, like you said. But like I said, 80 jobs. I bet him moving to a new URL and some stuff probably wasn't your doing. But if he was self-employed, self-hired, self-income, and then he could have just removed it. But if he was employed by someone else, because I didn't really get that from the story if he was or was not. But if he was employed by someone else, then that other person saw all that stuff and was like, "Hey, you applying to other jobs? You're fired," or something like that, because he may have thought he was going to quit soon. So maybe now he had to take down his part of the website and then go work on one of those McDonald's, Starbucks, or Wendy's, or whatever.
Because I'm sure that guy was losing his mind dealing with all the callbacks. And I love the fact that you did like the whole job route, because you could easily just start spamming him like crazy, especially with like political or like religious emails or something like that, or even like really sketchy emails, if you know what I mean. But you went the route where you know for a fact he's gonna check it and be like, "Oh, wait a second, maybe this is work, maybe this is a future job," or something like that, only to then be immediately let down that no, it's definitely not that kind of job, because he's getting a call back to work at a fast food joint, which is not a bad job, but I'm sure that's not what what he's looking to do. So good for you, because this guy absolutely deserved to get shut down in some kind of way. Am I the jerk for blowing up at my parents for something my adult sister did while I was setting up for my husband's birthday? Because right now they're saying that I'm being unfair, but at this point I am so frustrated with their behavior that I seriously am at such a loss. Here's what's going on.
I generally have nothing to say right now. I have to hear the full story for this one to figure out if they're the jerk or not. Because right off the bat, they said
In some kind of way. Am I the jerk for blowing up at my parents
blowing up at the parents.
for something my adult sister did while
Adult sister did. Like, what did she do? And I think this person got blamed based off how he's saying it. And he even has a
did
solid
while I was setting
alibi.
up for my husband's birthday?
He has a solid alibi, especially if his husband, or maybe his husband's friends, or his husband's family, could back this person up on this girl up on this, because it's a husband. Unless it's a, you know what kind of marriage.
Because right now they're saying that I'm being unfair, but at this point I am so frustrated with their behavior that I seriously am at such a loss. Here's what's going on. Okay, so I have a sister who I will call Amy for the sake of the story, who has always had a difficult relationship with food. Basically, she was bullied as a kid and turned to food for comfort. As an adult, she still struggles with self-control, especially around things that she finds appetizing. Our parents have never set boundaries with her around food, and that's carried into adulthood. She now currently lives with them, and they do all the grocery shopping and cooking. Well, my husband recently had a birthday, and I planned a surprise party. I sent him out of the house for a few
So yeah, it was a surprise party, and so if any of his like family members or friends came, then that you have a good alibi.
hours so that I could set up, and I asked my parents to come and help. Now, I specifically asked them not to bring Amy, as setting up involved putting out snacks, drinks, and a homemade cake with frosting. Well, as you can probably guess, they showed up with Amy anyways, saying it wouldn't be fair to exclude her.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she definitely ate all the stuff, and so this person's gonna get mad at her sister, and then her parents are gonna get mad at her for getting mad at her sister, and then not even address what her sister did, which is probably eating the food. That's my guess on what's gonna happen.
Gave her a few small things to do, and specifically asked her not to touch any of the food until the guests arrived. But I was also too busy to keep a constant eye on her. Well, at one point, I went into the kitchen, and I found Amy with the fridge open, eating the frosting out of the mixing bowl. And she had eaten nearly half of it already. As soon as she saw me, she burst into tears and said she only meant to try a little bit, but she couldn't stop. My parents heard us, and they came in. My mom then said that it wasn't a big deal since the cake was untouched, and I still had enough frosting for a crumb coat, but I had planned to do specific cake decorations, and now there wasn't enough frosting. I didn't have the time or ingredients to make more. My dad suggested going to the store to buy a tub of pre-made frosting, saying that it was basically the same thing, but I explained my husband tries to avoid a lot of the ingredients found in store-bought frosting, and he just wouldn't want that. My dad then said, well, let's just not tell him since he wouldn't even know the difference. And honestly, that suggestion was super frustrating to me. I told my parents that they couldn't convince me that this was no big deal.
You should have kicked him out, my dude. Or my whatever. You should have kicked him out. Your parents and your sister. And maybe see if you could get some of your husband's friends or husband family instead. Have them help out. Maybe have them come out and say, surprise, when he walks in the door.
And that they had allowed this by not setting boundaries with Amy's binge eating and by bringing her to set up. They told me.
And then they still get, and like I said, they get her in trouble. And then they just said that they didn't even try to help with her binge eating and whatnot. So, of course, it's Amy's fault and the parents' fault that this happened.
To back off and be more sensitive to my sister, and that it wasn't her fault, but I responded by saying that I was more angry at them because at least Amy felt bad while they were just trying to downplay the situation. They then got upset and said it wasn't fair to blame.
And at least, like you said, at least Amy feels bad for doing it. And he should be mad at his parents for not setting boundaries about her eating stuff.
Blame them for Amy's choices and that she was an adult. My boyfriend
No, shoot.
snacks, drinks, and a home on her. The store to buy a suggestion wasn't her. Okay, no, you are not the jerk here because
Oh, hold on, go back.
they ended up leaving and now trying to downplay this by not setting boundaries with Amy's binge
we'll start
eating
back
and
here.
by bringing her to set up. They told me to
completely lost
back
my train
off
of
and be more
thought.
sensitive to my sister and that it wasn't her fault, but I responded by saying that I was more angry at them because at least Amy felt bad while they were just trying to downplay the situation. They then
And yeah, he should be upset at his parents for not setting the boundaries. Because if Amy really felt sorry and stuff, then yeah, he should not be mad at her. He should be mad at the parents for not setting boundaries. Maybe a little mad at Amy, but enough for him to forgive her.
got upset and said it wasn't fair to blame them for Amy's choices and that she was an adult and they can't
It wasn't her choices, like you said, they did not control the binge eating at all.
control her. They also said they were trying to help by giving suggestions and that I'm being stubborn by shutting
It's lagging. Let's see here. Go
them
back.
because at least Amy felt bad while they were just trying to downplay the situation. They then got upset and said it wasn't fair to blame them for Amy's choices and that she was an adult and they can't control her. They also said they were trying to help by giving
Okay, I just want to make a quick note that I somehow turned a 20-minute video into an already 40-minute video. Just by my pausing and stuff.
but I responded by saying that I was more angry at them because at least Amy felt bad while they were just trying to downplay the situation. They then got upset and said it wasn't fair to blame them for Amy's choices and that she was an adult and they can't control her. They also said they were trying to help by giving suggestions and that I'm being stubborn by shutting
I mean, in their like they said, they did give suggestions, but like he said, you don't really know what's in those store-bought stuff.
the first place. You specifically told them, hey, don't bring her along. I don't want to deal with that. I know how she is and I don't want that
We're gonna have to start here because for some reason that one chunk is lagging.
right now. You literally just wanted help setting up for a birthday party and they completely ruined it. And sure, this
And like I said, you should have tried to get some of the boyfriend's friends or family to help instead of your family with her condition. And especially if your parents have a history of doing some stuff like that.
is Amy's fault if you really get down to it, but it's absolutely also the parents' fault because they didn't do anything about this sooner. So no, you're not the jerk because what your parents did, in my opinion, is unacceptable. Am I the jerk for refusing to give my sister the wedding dress I bought?
This is probably the last to second last story.
Even though I'm not getting married anymore, because right now she's calling me selfish.
Okay, let me get this straight. Your sister wants the wedding dress that you were gonna use. And wait, and you said you're not even getting married.
Absolutely
anymore.
also the parents' fault because they didn't do anything about this sooner. So no, you're not the jerk because what your parents did, in my opinion, is unacceptable. Am I the jerk for refusing to give my sister the wedding dress I bought, even though I'm not getting married anymore?
If you ask me, not really. Because you should probably like keep that dress in storage in case you are gonna get married again. And at most, you should let her borrow it for her wedding, but then have her give it back to you. But it's okay to not let her use it at all.
Because right now she's calling me selfish, and at this point, I don't know what to do.
You're not really selfish. Especially if you have a history of letting her borrow stuff.
Here's what's going on. I'm a 29-year-old female and I was supposed to get married last year, but my fiance and I ended up breaking things off a few months before the wedding. Now, this was mutual, there was no drama, just a realization that we weren't compatible long term. The thing is, I had already bought myself a wedding dress custom made that cost me nearly $4,000.
And it was custom made, so maybe even that, unless they have very similar body types, that custom made might not even fit her, unless custom made just means custom designed.
And trust me, I know that's a lot, but I paid for it entirely myself, and it meant a lot to me at the time. After the breakup, I packed it up and I put it in storage. I haven't been ready to sell it or do anything with it yet, as it is still an emotional thing. Well, here's where it gets really messy. My younger sister recently got engaged, and we're not super close as we are kind of different people, and she's always been a bit entitled if I'm being completely honest. She came over a few weeks ago, saw the dress when we were organizing my storage closet, and actually asked if she could have it for her wedding. When she said this, I kind of laughed and said, no, that's mine.
How did she say it? Was she like, oh, this is a great dress. Mind if I use it for my wedding? Or was she like, hey, you should let me use that dress for my wedding since I'm getting married and you're not? Because if it was the second option, then yeah, you should definitely say no. But if it was the first option, you should give some thought into it.
But when I said that, she got annoyed. She said to me, but you're not even getting married. You're just
And then now it sounds like she's
gonna
saying
let it
it
rot.
like, oh, you're not even getting married, you're just gonna let it rot. Like, and getting annoyed about that. Like, if I were you, I'd have a second thought if she was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Or maybe like, that's okay. But no, she's like, oh, you're gonna let it run in a box. And yeah, definitely don't let her use it. And just save it for when you do end up getting a wedding. Unless you gain a few pounds.
In a box. I told her again, no, it's personal to me, and even though I'm not using it now, I'm not giving it away. Now, you might be thinking she would stop at this point, but no, she just kept on going. She asked if she could buy it at a discount, but I told her no, I wasn't ready to.
Now, if she wants to buy it at a discount, pay full price. If if you really were gonna sell it to her, pay full price. Have her pay full price. Otherwise, tell her to get off your property.
Sell it. And it's here that she threw an absolute fit. She called me selfish and said I was being dramatic over a dress. Well, our mom is now involved, and she thinks I should give it to her as a gesture of sisterly love, and because according to her, it's going to waste. But I honestly feel like she's only asking because she doesn't want to pay for one herself, and she's not exactly struggling financially. So now I have my sister and my mom acting like I'm heartless and petty for not handing it over. But if feels like a boundary I just simply want to keep. So am I the jerk for refusing? Because right now I'm still incredibly frustrated. Wow, dude, I'm blown away. Your family's super toxic. I just can't imagine someone being so heartless and entitled to be like, oh, you're not using it. It's clearly going to waste. Give it to me at a discount, please. Like, dude, what is going on right now? This is still your wedding dress after all. Just because you're not using it now doesn't mean you won't in the future or something like that. This just
Exactly,
really
that's
sucks in
what
my
I'm
opinion.
saying.
Like, the way she's acting is just super entitled, as if she's supposed to get that now that you're not using it. So to me, it kind of makes sense why you're not super close with her. But honestly, no, you are not the jerk. Your mom and sister are completely in the wrong. And I know if I was in your shoes, I would have made the exact same decision. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories,
You should do exactly what they said, but you won't be listening to many stories if um I don't do this anymore. Okay, now for the quote. I'll have to pull it up. Give me a second. Okay, here it is. Here's the quote. Be crazy, be stupid, be silly, be weird, be whatever, because life is too short to be anything but happy. Alright, well that's going to be the end for this video. Let me know if you want me to keep making videos like that, or if you want me to stick to gaming. Bye.